everyone. Welcome back to the L.A.M.E Book Club podcast. My name is Melissa.
I'm Ellie.
And we are back with another installment of
Hot Guys with Unpopular Sauce.
I say this every time and then always forget. We need to dude, we should come up with a graphic that pops up.
That's what
I guess
I
we
meant.
have graphics.
Right before this, I said, we need a thing. And Melissa said, what? And then it was the 3, 2, 1. And then we said, hey, everybody. But that's what I meant. We need a thing, like a graphic that says, Hot Guys.
And it has to wiggle. I think it needs to wiggle while you're singing. It needs to match the sound of your voice.
Yeah. If you're a little graphic animator, please reach out to us. I'd love to connect with you to build that. Okay.
Yeah, please do. But also, I think Zeke could do it. Just say.
Oh, never mind. Stay away. Stay far away. Okay. Today, we are talking about something so fun, so interesting. We're talking about Venin cures. That's right. We're heading back to the Empyrean world.
Woohoo! And also, this is just so that you guys know or let into my personal life. I just 2 days ago finished my second read through of Fourth Wing and Iron Flame. And
timely.
I had no idea because Ellie planned this episode. Mm-hmm. I had no idea we were doing it until, I knew prior to, I think I was maybe halfway through Iron Flame when Ellie told me what we were talking about this week. And I was like, shut the front door. I'm so excited because it's all fresh in my mind.
It's fresh. It's fresh.
Fresh.
We're brand new. We're ready to talk about this with pure minds, ready to just dive in. So number one, did you guys, what?
Well, I just have to say this. I loved these books the first time through. Don't get me wrong. I liked them so much more reading them again. And I think it's because I know
what's happening.
Okay, really quick, if you're listening, I'm going to do spoiler. We're going to be doing spoilers for both Iron Flame and Fourth Wing. So if you haven't read them yet and you don't want anything to be spoiled, you might want to come back to this episode after you finish. But knowing that Xaden is intrinsic as a second signet, and then also knowing that he turns Venin at the end, I was able then now going back from the very beginning and reading it through, just knowing things, you pay so much more attention to their actions and the choices that he makes and that Violet makes and that Brendan makes, just all these things. And it's the pure genius of Rebecca Yarros to make all of these things seem so normal the first time around. You didn't question it at all, but then now when you know, it's also so subtle. I don't know, just chef's kiss. 3 Michelin stars to Rebecca. Way to go.
Isn't it 5? You can give them 5?
No, I said 5. You can only get 3.
Okay. No, I think it's really cool when it's very clear that an author has the entire series planned out in their head so that they're able to write along that storyline without having, you can really tell when an author has one book in their mind and then they're pushed to do a sequel. And so then they're creating different things that you're like, why didn't you hint to this in the first book if that was going to be the case? And so I like when it's cohesive like that. I agree. It's next level writing, and I appreciate it.
It is. It's elevated.
Did you guys miss us? Because I don't know if you know, we skipped a Monday of Hot Goss, and that's because why, Melissa?
I said it right before we started recording. It's because we're just girls with lives, and those lives also include technical issues. So Ellie was out of town, so it's all Ellie's fault. No, I'm just kidding. But we had planned on just me doing a fun little solo episode of fall book recommendations, and I did it, and then I think everything in the world hates me. It got super jacked up, the recording, the files got really messed up, and my husband did his very, very best to recover them, and he couldn't. So I was like the night before we were supposed to go live, I was like, Ellie, do I re-record it early tomorrow morning and just have it be late? What do we do? Do we just take the week off? And we just decided to give ourselves a little bit of a break there. So sorry about that, everyone, but we're back.
Because it's not even a break. It was we did it.
I know it wasn't a break because I still did it. It just didn't end up getting uploaded.
It happens though. And so the good news is that it's not happening with this episode. So we are so back.
We're so
ready
back.
To talk theories, ready to talk ideas. And if you are if you are into our podcast, I have good news for you. We have a book club that happens every Wednesday. This Wednesday, we're doing Kingdom of Ash 61 through 80. So tune into our podcast at that time to listen to the book club portion. But if you love the book club portion, yeah, I know. I'm kind of stumbling, but I'm trying to lead it into this. Guess what happens this Wednesday? Our Patreon launches October 2nd, this Wednesday. And so if you are attached to our book club episodes, we are going to move all of them over to the Patreon after we finish Kingdom of Ash. And so if you're part of our Patreon, you get to vote on what book we do next. And we will also have some bonus content in there for you in the meantime. So please head over there. It's going to be a party, and we're so excited.
We are so excited. Also, don't worry, we are not moving the last 2 episodes of the series we've been on for months and months over to the Patreon. Our book club.
What a jerk!
If you want to hear this end out, or if you want to see how this ends, pay for our thing. No, we're not doing that. We don't hate you guys. Our Kingdom of Ash episodes will still be available to the public through October 16th. However, our Patreon is launching on October 2nd, but you will get 2 bonus episodes through Patreon between the 2nd and the 16th to make it worthwhile for you joining beforehand. And then after the 16th, when our last Kingdom of Ash episode airs, that's when, moving forward, all of our book club episodes will be on Patreon.
Yes.
But I'm very excited too because, wow, that thought, I've never had a thought leave my brain.
Do you need a save?
Entirely as fast. No. Yeah, Ellie.
Tagged.
Your turn.
All right. Spooky stories. Guys,
Thank you.
The end of October, we are going to read your submissions for your spooky stories. You can still submit. You have time. I think October 24th is going to be our deadline cutoff date. So head to the link in our Instagram bio. You can write about a completely fake story, a completely fictional. You can write about a real spooky story that happened to you, or half real, half fake. All up to you. Short story, doesn't have to be long. If you submit it and we read your story on our episode, we will send you a little L.A.M.E Book Club podcast sticker. And if you are the winner of all of the spooky stories, we will send you a little swag bag. So please do so. There is still time, and we've gotten a few stories. We haven't read them yet because we want to sit down and do it all at once, but I'm so excited. And on that note, please like and subscribe. Leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. Leave us a comment. Follow us on Instagram. Subscribe on YouTube. All of those things. And let's talk review of the week.
Yeah. Now that you guys saw me have a seizure online and just forget not a seizure.
That's okay.
A brain aneurysm. They're a little bit more accurate.
I think you mean stroke. I think you're...
Yes. Stroke.
Yeah.
All right.
But...
Anyways,
okay.
review.
Wow. This one comes from Chicky. This says, like talking with my besties, 5 stars. I've read 3 series and needed more. I love listening to you two. It reminds me of my bestie and I talking about random stuff. I love your random tangents, quoting movies, inside jokes, and synchronized train of thoughts. P.S. Inside jokes are never just between Melissa and I. It's always between Melissa, me, and you.
Exactly.
I laugh so much. I feel like I'm with my friends chatting it up. Highly recommend. Thanks, Chicky.
Thank you so much. That was so fun. I love these reviews of the week.
I know. They're great. Please leave more because we love to read them.
Please leave
and like I said, our Wednesday episode is going to be Kingdom of Ash, chapters 61 through 80. So if you are reading along with us, please read that beforehand because there will be spoilers for those chapters and those chapters alone. And with that, I'm ready. Are you ready?
Oh, I don't think I've ever been more ready for any episode before. I don't know. There's something about my excitement level for this is through the roof. So
I'll tell you
please
exactly
start.
why. Because the last few of our Hot Goss episodes, while juicy and in depth, have been more kind of like, I don't know, controversial topics, I feel like. And this one is not controversial. It's just fun theories, fanfic. We love it. We're talking Empyrean universe. It's just great. It's
I do
easy.
think that's a big part of
it's
it.
Fun.
I also think it's because it's just so top of mind for me right now. So it's a combination
that's
of
nice.
the two.
It's got to be nice. All right,
it is.
Here we go.
All right, let's do this. Let's do this thing.
Let's do this thing. I've seen this theory going around and we simply must talk about it. I've gotten this theory sent to me on Instagram at least 4 or 5 times from different people. So the public has spoken and we are here to answer. The theory goes like this. I don't know if you had to have seen this, but I don't know if you have for sure. Violet's father found the cure for Venin. For whatever reason, Violet's father, Daddy Sorrengail, found the cure to being Venin.
We're not going to call him Daddy Sorrengail ever again.
Okay, well then stay off the internet because that's what everyone's calling him.
Exactly.
I changed it to Violet's father and you didn't catch it, but now you have, so I don't know what to tell you.
I'm just saying, I just reread the books and it was never 100% confirmed that he found it.
No, this is a theory.
Oh,
I just said this is a theory.
I'm sorry, I missed it. I'm so sorry. Keep going.
Right.
Now I know.
I'll start over.
That he found it.
Violet's father has found the cure for the Venin. For whatever reason, he needed to give it to Lilith while she was pregnant with Violet. Whether or not this next part is true, and I'm like 99.99999% sure that this is true.
All right.
So because the silver hair is just that it's the silver hair at the ends, no matter what she does, if she cuts it, it's silver. That's why I'm like, she had something given, like Lilith had something given to her while she was pregnant with Violet. There's no other explanation. I don't think it's just an aesthetic silver. So this part, the cure was made with...
Sorry, Rebecca just made way too much of a point to talk about her hair and continually like referencing it in Fourth Wing for it to not play some kind of role moving forward. So anyways, I'm just adding
just to clarify. What I meant with what I think is true is that something was given to Lilith. I'm not entirely sure that this theory is true, but here we go.
Okay.
So what was given to Lilith was the cure, and that cure was made with the blood of a feathertail. Although if you ask me, I'd say that the blood should come from the 7th breed of dragon rather than a feathertail. And I can back that up with the fact that Andarna said that she was left behind, not that they're all dead and gone. So they're still out there somewhere. If there's just a little bit, maybe Father Sorrengail found them somewhere and added that. But this theory specifically just says the blood of a feathertail. So this blood mix... Yeah.
Pause. You just dropped so much possibility on my plate. I need 30 seconds to digest it. That would here's the thing though. I agree with what you're saying about it should be 7th breed instead of Feathertail. But it would make sense that it's Feathertail because we know that he was working on something Feathertail related prior to dying.
Yeah.
And Andarna
also people
was a
have
Feathertail.
said, I don't remember this in the book, but because you just read it, maybe you do. People have said maybe it's not even Feathertail, but the eggshells of like a baby dragon, like the eggshells of the dragons, because they mention eggshells in the book. And they're like, that's random to mention that and not to play on that more.
It's in the crap. Here's the problem. Yes, I just remembered it. Unfortunately, I am me. And my memory is terrible. So I do remember them saying something about eggshells being an ingredient in a thing, but I don't remember what they were talking about.
That's okay. So let me keep going. So this blood mix cure essentially turned Violet into, here we go, a half dragon. So this would explain, I know. This would explain why she can communicate with other dragons. And I'm not saying she can talk to them mind to mind, because we know that the only reason she can talk to more than one dragon is because she bonded with 2 and she has that mating thing with Xaden, which also gives her a little access to Sigale. So she technically can mind to mind talk to 3. But I'm saying literally speak to them out loud and not get burnt up. Because if we remember, people are like, you cannot address someone else's dragon or else they will torch you. And she's done that multiple times.
Yes, I'm trying to not fall sucker to Rebecca Yarros' schemes, because yes, while she has spoken out loud to multiple dragons, which we know cannot be done, the only time she's ever done that is when it's literally life and death, and it's like, I'm gonna risk it because I have to like say, like, so it was once with, I can't remember, Sleeg, Sawyer's dragon. She says something to Sleeg because Sleeg is even pissed that she's talking to, I can't remember if Sleeg's a boy or a girl, but Sleeg is pissed that Violet is even talking to him, but Violet's doing it because she's like, I need you to understand what I'm about to do so that I can save Sawyer. And I know ultimately we're on the same page. Like, we want the same thing. And she talks to Coda because she needs to, she tell him that she knows Andarna is actually a 7th breed, she knows the secret.
Yeah.
Taryn doesn't even know
I
it.
agree
She
with
does.
you. Every time
And
she's talked to a dragon has been like life and death. Like, you need to listen because we have something very serious on our hands. I agree with that. However, but the rules
to me,
were written.
that's where I'm like, well, that's what I'm saying. Like, that is what would allow for the loophole of, okay, they're not going to scorch her because it's
she's
not
not
like
just saying,
she's just
hey,
like,
how's it going?
Hey, Coda. Like, exactly. And they're just like, sup, Violet. Like, it's reasonable scenarios for her to risk their wrath. So that's where I'm like, ooh, it feels far-stretched, but at the same time, I could be absolutely playing into Rebecca's mind games that she wants us to think so that we don't see it coming when we find out that she's part dragon.
Could be. There's another point to this. It could also explain why Taryn says to her, I know exactly who and what you are, Violet Thorngale. Not just who you are. And I've always attributed this to, like, she's like scribe. She's a little scribe. So maybe that's what you are. She's a little of both.
That, but also the context of when he was saying that, it was right after she was talking about how, like, frail she is. So it also, it could easily be like, no, I know what you are. Like, I know you're not what you think that you are. You're not weak. Like, your body might fail you at times, but you are so much stronger than what you think, like, your body.
Or
it
could be that she's half dragon. And he's saying, I know exactly who and what you are.
I'm saying this right now for all the internet to hear. If this is what ends up happening and that's exactly what Taryn was implying, I swear to God, I will hate him forever. I am so sick of everyone keeping secrets like this from her. I am Bed Bath & Beyond done with Violet being the last one to know about herself and, like, everything that happens to her or her family. I am, just like Violet, so over it. So if that ends up being what happens, I'm not going to stop reading, but I will scream out loud reading it and then keep moving on.
As we say here in the biz, there will be another hole in your wall from throwing that book across the room. There are also a few spots where Andarna says to Violet that we are the same. And we've always just kind of assumed they're different. But are they actually the same?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That is because,
another
again,
point,
the context of that, it's talking about her being little and being, like, shorter than all the writers and like weaker because of joint stuff.
This gives me chills because if this is real, Rebecca really wrote this correctly. Like, all the little Easter eggs that were right in front of our face. I'm not entirely convinced, but it would be really cool if it was what
that's
it
where
was.
I'm at.
Yeah.
Keep going. Keep going to convince me, though.
I have one more, and this comes from the brain of
what would
me.
Violet being a dragon have... Sorry. What would Violet... Since it sounds like we're done with that theory, what would Violet being a dragon have anything to do with?
We're not done with that with theory. Let me finish this.
Oh, okay.
So this point comes from the brain of me, again. And that is that Taryn calls Andarna Golden One, but he also calls Violet Silver One. Could this be more than a cute nickname and a parallel to the fact that that's a dragon nickname for him?
I really think that has just more to do with the fact that Andarna was golden and that she has silver hair. But it could be if she
But again, we've been chalking everything else up to coincidence. Like, no, that's just because Violet's different. That's because Violet's more fragile. That's because Violet has silver hair. Or is it because she's half dragon?
Well, she wouldn't be half. She'd be a little bit. But not
a little
half.
Dragon.
A little bit of dragon.
But I don't know what a little dragon would even do for her or for the story at this point.
Because it's not like she can breathe fire.
And it certainly could be something that Rebecca is like, well, then you're the cure. Like, your blood is, I don't know. She could write something in. She certainly could write something in. But
she sure could.
I don't know what it would be. The possibilities are endless. So that is theory one that I have seen about the possible cure to being Venin.
Well, so I guess now that we're done with that one, did that theory that you see... I guess we just kind of talked about it. I'm like, I don't know what her being a dragon would, how that would, other than maybe making her more powerful. But I don't know. Like,
I think it would point to the fact that if Lilith was Venin or had some kind of issue with becoming Venin, I don't know, that they found the cure with the Feathertail blood. And I also had a closing statement on this that said, if you truly asked me, smash or pass on this, I pass on this one because if this was the case, then giving the quote unquote cure to all the Venin who would want it would turn them into half dragons. And if you ask me, that's too many specials. And if everyone's special, nobody is.
Love it. Thank you for that reference. Here's my train of thought. I think it would be really cool if that was an element that was added into this storyline, but not necessarily for Venin cures. I think it would be cool because that opens up the possibility that because she is technically a little bit dragon, she might be allowed into Empyrean conversations. So I think that would be cool for us to get more as a reader, get more of an insight on the Empyrean and the dragons and what their conversations might be like, and like how they make decisions, and more quote unquote dragon secrets that we don't know of yet.
Exactly, because she's left out of so much. Well, all humans are left out of so much of what the dragons want to do and what their inner workings are. Yeah. And so the fact that she would be the gateway between the humans and the dragons in that sense would be really cool.
That would be really, really cool.
Maybe I like that.
To me, I like the idea as like an element to the greater story, but I don't know how that would have any impact on the Venin cure specifically, personally.
Right. So smash or pass on this one for you.
I'm passing on it.
Okay.
Or specifically for Venin cures, but passing on the possibilities of what it might include. Do
you mean smashing?
Yep, that's exactly what I meant. Thank you.
Okay. All right, I like it. Next theory comes from Reddit user sarcastic_teacher. Nice.
Love it. I like where this is going already.
I'm just going to read the theory straight from the user. One of the things I've not seen anyone connect yet is that Andarna developed a scorpion tail out of all the dragon tail shapes she could have had. Scorpion tails contain venom, and venom, even in the real world, is often used as an ingredient in anti-venoms, antidotes, medicines, things like that. Yeah, this one sent me. I think Andarna's tail venom is going to be one of the key ingredients to this cure. Taryn tells us that dragons get their tail shaped based on choice and need. Why does she need to have that specific tail after waiting over 6 centuries to hatch? The only tail shape that has venom in it. We know, or at least we are led to believe, that Andarna is the last of her breed of dragon, whatever that breed may be. We also know that the last time there were other dragons like her, over 600 years ago, that's around the same time. The Venin were defeated for the first time. I think Andarna had to wait 650 years to hatch until there was someone like Violet who would know what to do with her special sauce. They say, it is entirely possible that Andarna's tail barb or her fire will have special powers to kill Venin, but I don't think it's a coincidence that one of Violet's main skills since before she became a rider was poisons and antidotes. Yeah.
Smash.
There's a reason that character trait has been stressed since the beginning of the series. After formulating this theory, but before posting it, I read Rebecca Yarros' Variety interview. The interviewer asks her straight up why Andarna has that tail shape, and she answered with some hogwash about how she saw Violet get poisoned at Resin during a very formative time and wanted to, quote, become the poison herself. I think that was a fluff answer meant to distract us. I said, this one's a smash for me.
Absolutely.
This makes sense.
I also love that sarcastic_teacher said, and Rebecca Yarros said some hogwash about
I know.
Oh my gosh, I could not smash this theory more. This is incredible. Literally, if Rebecca doesn't do this, this is gonna be my Hot Goss fanfic. Shut the fanfic up rewrite. Like, this is so spot on. Exactly what she said, or they said. Andarna, or venom is generally used as part of anti-venom. Violet, has to be a reason other than just, she's a scribe and she's smart, that she was so particularly skilled with poisons and used it to get, like, work her way through Basgaia in her first year. Like she said, they're waiting over 600 years to hatch for someone like Violet who would know what to do. Just all the things. It is beyond coincidental. It is it makes sense. Like, it
makes sense.
Honestly, I actually want to marry these two theories together because I really like where the first one was going as far as the cure being something to do with like Feathertail blood or whatever, like, but kind of like what you said, like maybe more of Andarna venom instead of Feathertail blood being part of the cure. But I do think his research on Feathertails is gonna have to come back up some. Like, why?
It's got to be a mix of the two.
Well, because it was referenced more than once. It's not like if it was just brought up one time, it'd be like, oh, okay, she bonded a Feathertail. It's mentioned that her dad was researching Feathertail's school, but like it was brought up like 2 or 3 times in Fourth Wing that he was working on something regarding Feathertails, but didn't know. No one really knew what, because then he died and no one can find the research. And so like, there's something to all of this, but I love that second theory. That is so good. I know.
The scorpion venom sold me. Just the fact that is in our world known as a element of antidotes and antivenoms.
Yeah.
There is a reason she had to choose that tail. There's a reason that Violet studied poisons. Exactly what you said. I'm just repeating because I'm so excited. I think that this one is it. And I think that maybe a mix with Violet's father's
Thank you.
Research and Andarna, it's all just going to come together. And I think, here's the thing though. Do you think Xaden will be cured in this book? Or do you think it's going to take all of this book to find the cure and then 4th book? Because aren't there going to be 4 in total?
I think there's going to be 5. I thought that's what she said. So here's what I'm thinking. Rebecca, I don't remember what interview, so don't even come at me with quoting this, but it was either an Instagram live or an interview or something. She said that the structure for her books is like a W, because there's 5.
Oh, yeah.
So the first one ended on a high. It ended with us finding out that Brennan was still alive. The second one ended on a low. It ended with Xaden being Venin. This next one is going to end on a similar-ish high.
They're going to find
low,
the cure.
Then high. So
Mark
I think
my words.
I think the whole book he'll be Venom, but I do think he'll be cured at the end because we know it's going to end on some kind of high. And then I think the next 2 books are going to be about them. It's mentioned in some kind of blurb that Rebecca Yarros posted recently about Onyx Storm. It says like, I don't remember exactly what the verbiage is. I should have pulled it up, but essentially, it says now we have to find allies and go. So like, I knew the Isles were going to come into it at some point.
And I remember you really wanting the Isles to come in. That was on one of our very first Fourth Wing episodes.
I'm stoked for the Isles coming in. Like because the way they describe them, I'm so excited to visualize it in my mind. But I do think the Isles and the people are going to come into play in this book, but I think they're going to be, the last 2 books are going to be more, okay, we're still solidifying our allies, and then the last book is going to be like the big war, like against the Venin or any new villain that kind of emerges throughout the story. But I think because we know that this book is going to end on somewhat of a good note, I think he'll be cured at the end. If not, the end will be that they found a cure and that he'll be cured early on in book 4.
Yeah. Yep. I like it. So those are my theories for this episode. Now we're going to switch gears. Rebecca has posted a bonus chapter for Fourth Wing on September 17th, and we have read it. Now, I don't know if you have bought the brand new Fourth Wing book with the exclusive bonus chapter. Rebecca's not officially shared the bonus chapter on her website yet. So the only way that you can access it is by buying the new version of the Fourth Wing book that released.
It's in the paperback copy of Fourth Wing that was just released in the US.
Thank you.
Yes.
However,
but it's also not the only, it's bonus chapter. I was going to say there's 2 other bonus chapters. This is the 3rd one.
Yeah. So, however, I have seen some Instagram accounts that have chosen to share it, but you did not hear it from me. And that's what I'm going to say. So if you don't want to wait to read the bonus chapter, or if you don't care about spoilers, keep listening. I'm going to summarize the chapter for you. And here is your fair warning that this is happening. So
I will say, before Ellie even jumps into this, the bonus chapter is not content that we Violet didn't already have. It's just
it's a POV from
it's
Xaden.
a chapter that we already have just from Xaden's point of view. So we get a little bit more of his insight. But what is happening in the chapter is nothing new. So it's not really going to spoil anything other than you're just going to learn about Xaden's insight.
It's literally the same exact dialogue that we've read before. You're just reading it from Xaden's point of view and his thoughts behind all of it, which is very cool, very interesting.
Yeah, I like that. It's the scene where they're in after winning squad games, they got to go to Montserrat. And they're in the like strategy room with Mira talking about what would you do if we were attacked, like blah blah blah. It's that scene. It's just from Xaden's point of view.
Yeah. So I will go into all that. So here we go. Let's regale our memory on chapter 27 first and foremost, a little more than what Melissa just gave. Violet's team, which includes Xaden, spent the morning flying and are now reviewing past battles at the outpost in Montserrat. Mira informs them that third-year cadets are stationed at the outposts while riders respond to emergencies. She notes that first years will learn more about battle strategy in the upcoming war games. The tension is high between Violet, Dane, and Xaden. Xaden makes a snide comment about Dane, and Violet says, I'm going to swear. Don't be a dick. Xaden, in return... It's a swear. To me,
it's not.
It's a swear. Xaden, in turn, responds in her mind... and this is the first time that we see that they can communicate mind to mind.
Yeah.
Mira then privately reprimands Violet and Dane for their conflict, warning Violet that Xaden may be distracting her from her training. She also finds out that Violet struggles to stay seated on Tarn, and as they talk, their dragons sense approaching griffins. Mira orders Xaden to take Violet away for her safety. Despite her protests, Xaden delays her departure with a kiss, their second ever kiss, until Tarn arrives. Now, what's the big deal with this random chapter? A lot of readers seem to think that we get a bigger clue as to what Violet's second signet is. Plus, we get to be in Xaden's head, which is just awesome. So, with that being said, here is the bonus chapter. In the bonus chapter, we really see how Dane got under Xaden's skin. We see Xaden possessive and head over heels for Violet, constantly and consistently. And at this point, I think when we were reading Fourth Wing, he was very, not aloof, but just like, I don't care. Yeah, I'm into you a little, but I don't care.
Yeah, we don't really, because he keeps his mask like on so well that even Violet is like, I love him, but he doesn't feel that way about me. Like, and so, but we also know later on in Iron Flame that he admits that he's loved her ever since they kissed for the first time. So now getting this chapter, he's already in love with her, and we get his internal thoughts, and it was the best.
It was the best. So we see him multitask 4 battle strategies, all while fantasizing about Violet. Then we get the insight on how the bond between them was developing. Xaden saw it first and could tell what Violet was feeling. He toyed with the idea of just not telling her about the bond because it was fun for him to see her raw reactions without him knowing, or her knowing how...
that he could tell
without him knowing how she truly felt behind them. One example is when Dane said that he was in charge. Liam corrected him, saying that Xaden was wing leader, so actually Xaden's in charge. And Violet felt pride over that, and Xaden felt it down the bond. I loved that little snippet. I was like, that is so cute. I loved it.
I know.
But then he can't help himself after Violet gets snarky with him defending Dane.
Daden and Zane.
Daden. He can't help himself after Violet gets snarky with him defending Dane, and the bond and mind-to-mind communication is revealed. The biggest reveal, in my opinion, is that we find out soon after that the reason Xaden and Sigale came to Montserrat is not because Sigale and Tarn can't stay away from each other for more than 3 days. Turns out they have a better grip on their emotions than we were even led to believe as the readers. They can do more than 3 days? It was because Xaden...
Well, it was because there was 2 reasons. It was because Xaden wanted to see Violet, and that was like the biggest one, but they also came to do a drop.
Yeah. And so let it be known that in chapter 27, Xaden admits to himself that he loves Violet already. Yes. That's so early on than when he actually tells her. And so granted, it was right after she said something sarcastic to Dane. So it might've been like the heat of the moment, like, man, I love her, but it counts. To me, it counts.
Because when he actually admits out loud to her that he loves her, he says he's been in love with her since their first kiss. So even if it was like, God, I love her, it's still like, we know
It counts.
Knowing that, we know he's in love with her. Like,
yeah.
Oh, incredible.
Something else we learn is Sigil is way more annoyed with everyone than what we originally assumed, which I loved.
I love
like she was similar.
More, sorry,
I'm not Sigil.
I'm sorry. I'm not trying to like cut you off or jump in, but I love getting more of the internal dialogue of Sigil in this chapter.
I know,
because we honestly
Sigil
up until this point
we've
only heard her talk to Violet like maybe 4 times, maybe. Like, and so and we get like 4, like more than 5 conversations with Xaden in this one chapter.
Yeah. So, like, she was similar to Taryn in that she was a little grumpy, but she's pretty dang, like, snippy with Xaden, too. And there's a point where she makes fun of his thoughts about Violet, where she's like, oh, we have to go check on Violet. What is she doing? Does she like me? Is she thinking about our kiss? And I personally would not recover from that. I could not have a dragon in my head all the time.
Let alone a dragon making fun of me. I would die.
I know.
That would be my 13th reason. Like, I couldn't.
That would be horrible. So, we get a little bit more of Heart Eyes Liam in this chapter, and it's good to have him back. The relationship between him and Xaden is deepened here, so honestly, that makes his death chapter even worse for me, because you see more of their relationship and just that he was loved, and so it sucks. Taryn's soft side is also brought out when he explains to Xaden one-on-one that he needs Xaden to lift Violet up so Taryn can grab her because she's fragile. And he says it's not dignified, but it needs to happen. So that adds a triple meaning to their second kiss. Triple? What? Yes. Number 1, Xaden wanted her so bad he couldn't help himself. Yep. Number 2, he was distracting Violet from bolting to Mira. And number 3, he had to lift her without her feeling undignified. Triple whammy. So, your thoughts on all that before I continue
My thoughts
on?
are chef's kiss. I loved everything about this. I love when we already know something that happened. Or let me take that back. We think we know what's happening, but then an author comes and gives us a 1-2, and really it's like, okay, you knew like 60% of what was going on here, and let me explain to you why some of these things that you otherwise would have completely dismissed or thought like you knew why they happened. Let me really show you why. Like, and so that was like the definition of this whole chapter. And I know you're going to talk about it, but can we, if you don't have anything else, can we please jump to the ward? I have so many things I need to process.
I'm actually not going to talk about it. I left that for you. Yeah.
Okay, well then.
I left it for you because you texted me about it.
Okay, well then you can go ahead. You can finish what you had to say before I jump into that.
No, I'm going to end on that note, so go with the ward.
All right. To me, the biggest thing we get in this chapter is not only... Okay, so when we are reading Fourth Wing, we just know that griffins are coming. That's it. What we learn in this chapter is that griffins were coming and the wards were down. Like, the wards stopped working. They were gone. And so Xaden and Liam are also like, we get a conversation between the two of them in the room that Xaden is sharing with him. And Liam just straight up asks, well, first, when the wards first go down, Xaden asks Sigil, he goes, was this us? And that's all he says. And we're like, us? What? What do you mean, was this us? And she just says no. And he's like, are you sure? And she's like, I already said no. So then Liam, same thing. First thing Liam says to him was this us? And Xaden says no. And Liam, again, it's like, dude, was this us? And Xaden's like, I already told you it wasn't. So it's funny to me that we see this, like, the wing leader version of Xaden is literally just him copying Sigil, which is hilarious in my opinion. But that means the wards were taken down. And then Xaden says something else. He goes, it wasn't us. But that tells me that there are other people already stationed in, like, here. He says it differently. I'm butchering it. But essentially leaning to believe that there are other people against their cause already infiltrating the outpost, which immediately brought my mind back to a comment that Jack Barlow said when he was tearing down the wardstones. He says something along the lines of like, we're already here. Like, there's more of us than you even realize.
Yes.
And so I think that whoever took, because we don't know, at the end of the chapter, we still don't know who took down the wardstone or the wards. But I think that, like, was the foreshadowing that Jack had mentioned, was that there were already Venin somehow among the ranks of Navarre's army, and they were already in works of seeing, oh, can we get these down? Like, how would I take one down? I don't know if I'm like so off base there, but to me that just feels like exactly what she was hinting towards. And my biggest question with that is, and I'm gonna just bear with me, I'm gonna like mentally process here because I have questions, but I also feel like I have half answers, and I just want yours and Ellie's opinion on it. Supposedly, Venin can't wield inside the protection of the wards, or their power is greatly diminished inside the protection of the wards. So people didn't even think it was possible. My biggest thing is, how could a dragon stay bonded to a Venin? That is what I'm not fully understanding. And on one hand, I think my like rationale for it, and if this ends up being the case, I think this may be the direction that Rebecca takes, is they're already bonded. They have to be bonded prior to turning, and the dragon would have to choose to stay bonded to them over choosing the Empyrean and all of their like dragon kind. So it's going to be like a huge slap in the face to dragons everywhere when it comes out that all of these riders are actually Venin, and yet their dragons not only stayed with them but didn't tell anyone. But that also, for me, further, and I say this on one of our Venin, we have an episode called it's Venin to look a lot like theories, where we talk about Ionic Storm theories and stuff. To me, that even further reinforces the fact that not only can dragons choose to keep their bonds, but they can choose to break them, which is like, I think that Terran actually broke his bond with Naolin.
Okay,
instead of
I need to
thinking,
stop you real quick.
I know,
because I am confused about something and it needs to be answered.
Yeah.
Number one, when the wards were down, that wasn't a Venin attack, right? That was just the Griffin Riders that were not friendlies.
Yeah, it was the Griffin Riders, and it wasn't the Venin. So, but that's where I'm like, I'm wondering if it was just the perfect storm. Like, if the Venin, it's not a really well thought out theory. It doesn't make a ton of sense, but I'm also almost wondering if it was someone who was Venin, if they were just like seeing if they could take down the wards, and the Griffins happen to be attacking at the same time. To me, that feels like not enough like meat for an author to actually use. In my mind,
I'm seeing we have two enemies. We have obviously the Greater, which is the Venin, and then we have the non-friendly Griffin Riders.
Yeah.
And for me, it would make the most sense that whoever took down the wards, it could be the Venin just testing out, can we do it? And then let the lesser of the two evils come in and like take advantage. Or was it a non-friendly Griffin Rider that somehow got in and decided to take down the wards? I just don't understand. Like, I don't think it's that. I don't know. I don't think that the non-friendly Griffin Riders would be able to take down the wards, because they don't seem like that much of a threat, in my opinion. But I don't see the Venin wanting to work with them outside of just being a distraction to do their own thing. So maybe that was the reason, but I don't know.
Well, so that's the only angle I could see if someone who was Venin did it was them doing it, but then using the Griffins as a distraction to, one, keep everyone focused on the Griffins and not, well, I mean, most of these people don't even know that Venin are real. So it's not necessarily like they're thinking about them anyways, but it's really just to keep pounding in that Griffin are the enemy, even though like because I think Venin know if the Griffin Riders and Navarre were to join forces, they would be a formidable like adversary. And so one, it's to keep the distance between the two of them, but then, and really just to deflect any attention on themselves. That's the only angle I could see even making a little bit of sense. But like I said, it's really not a super well thought out theory. It was just the fact that Xaden has no idea who would do it, and the fact that Jack made that comment at the end of Iron Flame, it feels like that. I don't know. To me, I'm like, it has to be something like that.
Well, plug to go listen to our It's Venin to Look a Lot Like Theories episode, because I also believe that, what's his name? The professor that we all hate.
Varish?
Starts with a V. Yeah, Varish.
He wasn't a professor.
I think he was Venin.
Yeah, he wasn't a professor. He was yeah. Except, you know what? Now I'm wondering. So the only thing that can kill Venin is those alloy imbued daggers, right?
Yes. And Andarna, apparently.
And Andarna. But I'm trying that scene where Violet kills. Well, Dane does most of the work, and then Violet does like the death blow,
the killing blow. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure Dane used the alloy dagger because I think he took one from Violet. I'm trying to. I just read it, and I said my memory is terrible. Like the details are, I need to go back, but I'm 99% sure Dane took one of Violet's daggers and turned around and stabbed him. So like that would make sense because she had alloy imbued daggers. But I think the final blow that Violet gave him, which ultimately was the one that killed him, was done with a sword. And so that wouldn't...
So he could still be alive.
Potentially. Or he wasn't Venin, is ultimately what I was getting at.
Okay.
But...
Well, things only Onyx Storm can tell us, right?
Yeah.
But...
Moving
on,
if she pulls a Jack Barlow again and it's like we thought someone was dead and psych, not only are they not dead, they're also Venin again. Like, I would be so angry.
She said that she doesn't resurrect people, so if we're led to believe that, but he might just not be dead.
We're also led to believe that a lot of people were dead, even though when they weren't. Because like I remember her saying that. I remember her saying that, and then I had like kept that in the back of my mind when I was rereading the books. And there are, like, with Brennan, it was, like, there in the very beginning of Fourth Wing, it's like, he's dead. He's dead. Like, it straight up was, like, multiple times. They're like, he is dead. But then as you keep reading, it's like, he's dead. Or so that's how it was recorded. Like, they then open up the space for potentially leave room for him to not actually be dead. They never once did that with Jack. It was just he was dead the whole time. And then all of a sudden he wasn't. So it's
that's
like
2 resurrections, Rebecca. What will you have us believe?
Well, I'm saying I'm okay with Brennan's because there was like she left wiggle room. There was some leading up, but there was no wiggle room with Jack. It was just like we had accepted the fact that he died. There was no body.
I just can't get over the fact that she says I don't resurrect people, and yet there have been a total of 2. And I know that she was probably referencing more like, because we think Liam's still alive because he made a little guest star appearance, and then also her father.
I was just about to say, because everyone's talking about him.
They're dead, but it's like, but are they? Because I know what you said, but your writing says differently.
Yeah.
Anyways,
your mouth is saying one thing, but your stories are saying something else.
Your writing's telling me a different thing. Let's get to the last point, and I personally think this could be the best part. There is another nod to Violet's second signet in this bonus chapter. And it is a simple single line from Xaden. And it reads, I shrug. Lying is easy, except when it comes to Violet. I haven't quite figured that one out yet.
Truth sayer.
Truth teller.
Truth sayer.
It is. There's no getting around it. And I'm going to be honest, I'm just going to shoot straight with you, Melissa. I don't like that she's going to be a truth sayer because
I love it.
Everyone has guessed it already. I want it to be a 1-2. Turns out she's not. Turns out she's a signet amplifier. That's what I would love. But I think that it is truth sayer no matter what we want.
I am 100% on the truth sayer bandwagon, but let me riddle you something that I picked up on this last time. I only have half of a thought on it. I don't necessarily know what it means, but I have another potential possibility for what her signet could be. Actually, this was even brought to my attention by Jordan. So sorry, Jordan, I don't remember your Instagram handle, but someone in our messages, we were going back and forth about it. So shout out to you, Jordan, because she called out something that I missed both times reading these books. But in chapter 51, I think, of Iron Flame, the beginning of that chapter is when Violet figures out how to put up the wards in Erasia. But realizes that it's going to cause the Flyers to not be able to wield anymore. So she gets her whole squad together at Rhiannon's sister's house and breaks the news to them. And she says, there's one line in there. It says, "I won't lie to Xaden. I'm going to have to tell him as soon as he gets back." Like, that's it. And then at the end of their conversation in her sister's house, there's like the 3 dots on the break of the page, but it's not a new chapter. And then it immediately jumps to one of the many nightmares that she has with the sage. And then at the end of the nightmare, she wakes up and she's like, just grabs Xaden for like comfort, reinforcement, feels better. And then again, 3 dots. And then it jumps to 6 days later. And in 6 days later is when they're leaving to go do the whole like scavenger hunt with the runes. And Xaden comes back, and that's when she's like, "Hey, I have something to tell you, but I can't tell you right now." So that
chills. Wait.
So we know Xaden wasn't actually there when she had that nightmare, but woke up and supposedly was snuggling with him for comfort.
Wait. This gives horror movie. When you're like, when someone wraps their arm around you from the back, and you're like, "I don't have someone here with me."
Except she was the one wrapping herself around Xaden. I know. But yes.
Yes.
I missed it both times reading the fact that it was just so subtle to me that like he actually wasn't there. He didn't come back for another 6 days. He was on some like reconnaissance mission with Sigale.
I feel like Rebecca's personal goal is to make me feel like I'm insane, like
Absolutely.
to go crazy.
100%.
Okay, so let's talk about this. What does this mean?
So
what do you think then her signet is?
This leads into another thought that I had. All those nightmares that Violet was having, I don't actually think they were hers. I think they were Xaden's.
100% agree.
Because it never specifically says anything about like her wielding lightning. It just says, "We want you." And to be fair, I guess to play the devil's advocate, all of the Venin in real life, we know she's not dreaming. They always say, "I have orders not to kill you." And they are very much talking about Violet. But in the dreams, it just says, "We want you." And there's one, I need to pull up my notes because I wrote it down because I wanted to get it right. There's one dream where the sage says, "You will turn, but it won't be for something as trivial as power or whatever. You will turn for love." And that makes sense. Like, we know that Violet would do something like that if it involved saving people she loved. But at the very end of Iron Flame, the Xaden says, and this is after the fight he has with what we now know is actually not the sage. He was the general who was in both of their dreams, or I think Xaden's dreams. Xaden says, he pulled magic from the ground. He goes and snapped whatever tether he had on me and killed him. So Xaden is saying he snapped the tether that the general had on himself when he killed him. And then when Xaden is dreaming of the fight that actually happened, Xaden, the sage, it says, end quote, "The sage sighs, dragging his staff behind him just like he does in my nightmares." So back to the nightmares that they're having, but when we were viewing it from Violet's point of view, the sage was dragging his staff behind him in those nightmares. But now we know that Xaden was actually having them. And the sage or general tells Xaden, quote, "I told you once that you'd turn for love, and so you shall."
Oh, there it is.
Like, I just think that I don't know what this means as far as like what her signet could be, because it's like, okay, Dreamwalker, but then also like she physically felt him like distant.
But they have the bond, and to me, like, but then, okay, explain this one to me too, because remember when they were getting it on in the throne room and she was like in his head for a second?
Yes.
Do we chalk that up to the bond? Because this is the same thing, but in real life.
But Xaden says, "I shouldn't have let you do that." He says that because I thought that I was thinking about this theory when I read that, and I was like trying to like pay attention. And Xaden goes,
"Yeah," because
she goes, I saw you, like I know your thoughts," and he goes, "I shouldn't have let you do that." Like he says that, so I think he let her in to. So I'm like, with all of this, like the dreams and feeling like he was there or not, I don't know if this is maybe kind of a nod to what Xaden said in chapter 27, where he's like, it's so easy for me to lie to everyone except for her. So it's like he just, even because of their tethered bond and because of her second signet being truthsayer, if it's just that he has a hard time keeping her out. And she just can sneak in and know the truth of what he's feeling so easily if he's not constantly on alert. And, or if it's maybe, like, again, I'm so team Truthsayer. Like, if it's not Truthsayer, so Rebecca really set this up to be, like, I'm going to be super disappointed because of how much she, like, really has just drilled in that Violet gets pissed that no one tells her things and that signets are ultimately what you need and based on the person and, like, all that stuff. But I don't, like, it could be that her signet has nothing to do with that, and it's more of just, like, the getting in someone's mind. I don't really know. But I just was like, holy crap.
So much
like,
to think about.
Picking up on all of those little things. Like, there's this is gonna somehow come back. Whether it's her signet, whether it's something else, this has to come back at some point. Yeah. And I'm wondering if maybe it's gonna come back, maybe not necessarily as her signet, but with him being Venin, if this is gonna be like how
wait. So when that portion of the chapter happened where she wrapped her arms around him but he wasn't there, what do we think that is?
That's what I'm saying. I'm like,
do you think that's the bond?
Yeah, maybe, I don't know, maybe it's just her like vivid imagination. She thought she wrapped her arms around, like they're so connected that she physically felt like he was there even though he wasn't. Our friend Taylor has a theory that she's a distance wielder. And so like that would kind of make sense, but I just don't know.
Ugh. When does this Onyx Storm book come out? Do we know? We
January
know, but
25th,
do you know?
Not soon enough.
I can't wait anymore. I'm sick of these questions. I need answers.
I know.
It's plagued me. So also, day to day, they plague me.
If you guys have any theories on all of this, what we said, or any like ideas, please comment.
Yes.
I need to know more. So I've like maxed out my mental capacity on what I could, thinking of what it could possibly be. So let us know, but I'm assuming
that's all I have.
Yep. Okay, great.
Yeah, this is guys. The end.
Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for listening. Thanks for being here.
To like and subscribe. Have a great rest of your week. Join our Patreon on Wednesday the 2nd. Whoop, whoop. And we will be back next week with another hot goss.
Bye, everyone.